Good morning or evening, everyone. It's great to meet you online in this 2020 Asia OA meeting. I'm Eunjung Shin, a researcher from SEPI, a Science and Technology Policy Institute located here in Korea. I'm going to introduce current understandings and practices on open science in Korea and share some of my thoughts on how to promote open science. My talk will cover at least 4 parts: basic concepts, public policy, and current practices, and and the policy suggestions. First of all, let's begin with the background. Why open science? What makes us care about open science? I think there exist at least three streams that change our current practices and motivate us to move forward. Technology is one key enabler. The advance in digital technology is changing our way of doing science. Online publications and digital data become more abundant. They are much easier, cheaper, and quicker to be used. More people attempt to use them for research and innovation. In academia, open science is now renewed with new experiments. Although researchers used to make their findings openly discussed and verified in modern societies, they are increasingly utilizing digital resources and platforms nowadays to share their research findings and ideas and process with their other colleagues and stakeholders outside the research communities. Last but not the least, there is this big push from the society, policymakers, funding agencies, technology-based companies, and more other societal members want to get access to research outputs and processes for multiple purposes. I would say the society as a whole want to know more about science, communicate with scientists, and get engaged in science. Therefore, when we define open science, at least these 3 components need to be addressed: the use of digital technology, openness for the research, and for the society. In this sense, open science can be conceptualized as the effort to make scientific processes and outputs more open and inclusive to all the relevant stakeholders within and beyond the scientific community. Of course, open science would include many different practices in our daily life. Open access publication would be one typical example of open science practices. Sharing of research data would be another one, and there are more. Open research funding, crowdsourcing, open research labs, open hardware, open source, open education, open peer review, metrics, open evaluation. All these activities that make the whole research process more open can be considered as open science practices. People try new things under the umbrella term of open science. Clearly, open science is now evolving. So it's not easy to draw a clear-cut boundary of open science. As you can see here, different schools and programs and plans delineate open science in different ways. Some consider open innovation as a part of open science, but others don't. Some links open science to open education or citizen science, but others don't. Nevertheless, most seems to agree that open science includes both open access publications and open research data. Then many other activities can be grouped into one at this moment for practical reasons. So the typology with these three categories, that is open access, open data, open collaboration, this can be commonly accepted in many practical point of views. My review on Korean cases, it will be also based on this typology. Public policy is another driving force that make open science a reality. Since the early 2000s, public discourse on open access got strengthened and developed into a series of international declarations, statements. They are later followed by national and organizational policies to promote open access. As of March this year, over 1,000 organizations are found to have their own open access policies. Moreover, we are now observing additional policy efforts that go beyond open access publications. Many other, for example, UNESCO is now preparing for a recommendation on open science. As shown in this slide, many other regions and nations are also they already developed their own open science policies or strategies. Korean government has also undertaken multiple policy measures on open access publications and research data management. We have been constantly engaged in international policy discussion as well. In 2015, we had Daejeon Declaration with OECD member states, which was followed by 2017 Korea OECD Workshop on Open Science. This March, our Vice Minister of Science joined the UNESCO's dialogue on COVID-19 and open science. Then, in a practical sense, how far we've come, how much progress did we make so far? Our recent studies present some evidence for this question. Our research teams conducted 2 national surveys of Korean researchers in consecutive years, 2017 and 2018. And we also conducted case studies in 2018. And the results of the studies suggest that open science is underway in Korea. Let's get into some more details. First of all, we identified more researchers get to be aware of open science. As you can see here, in 2018, about 38% of survey respondents said they know open science to some extent. That's 12 percentage point increase compared to the one of the previous year. Using open access papers become much more commonplace. About 70% of respondents said they had once used open access papers. Among them, about 30% of respondents had published paper in open access journals. Well, yet there is some barriers, of course. Researchers still favor renowned non-OA journals because the science reward system still favor them. Given the coexisting demands and needs for open access journals as well as non-OA journals, Korean researchers now pay both archive processing charge of open access papers as well as subscription fees of non-OA journals. That increase actually financial burden. Legal issues associated with self-archived publications are not solved yet either. Then open research data. Disclosure or sharing of research data is less popular than open access publishing. However, data disclosure associated with publication has increased over time. Almost 1/4 of survey respondents said they had once deposited their data to public repositories in order to publish their papers. Except some cases, however, researchers rarely find solid references on what and how to do when sharing data with their colleagues or other people. Still, I would say many issues remain unsolved, which include concerns on data quality, security breach, privacy, intellectual property, and so on. What about open collaboration? Survey results also show that researchers have increasingly used social media and online tools for their research. Yet they are mostly for one-way communication and career management. Little progress was made so far for two-way interaction and real-time dynamic communication and collaboration in research fields. Only a few researchers were found to participate in virtual lab work or crowdsourcing projects. Attempts to engage citizens in science were still few. In addition, our research team went a bit deeper and checked the perceived and realized benefits of open science. First, we directly asked researchers, to what extent do you think open science contributes to your research output? Most researchers responded that open science would promote their scientific as well as socioeconomic outcomes. It was also found that those who were more aware of open science and doing more open access related activity had more scientific and social outputs produced. There's a positive association between the two. And we also found positive association between open collaboration activity and research performance. Even though open data related activities were found to be not related to research performance in general, case studies supplement those findings by showing that sharing of research data with global global colleagues actually advanced Korean researchers' scientific as well as educational performance. However, our studies could not identify a clear linkage between open science activities and economic benefits or performance outcomes. To sum up, I would say we are in the early stage of transition to open science. More researchers become aware of open science and practice it. Using open access papers and social media is quite commonplace. Researchers begin to acknowledge of the positive effects of open science. Realized benefits of open science are also partially identified in some case studies. In particular, open science appears to open up new opportunities for researchers to generate scientific and societal outcomes. Yes, we are still facing constraints at the same time. There remain technical, organizational, and legal barriers in pursuing new open science practices. We still do not have any national strategy or plan dealing with the whole landscape of open science activities. Nevertheless, it's important to move forward and do the next right thing. First, we need to support those who want to do more and help them succeed. With their success stories and best practices, we'll be able to motivate others to try. For instance, since open access publication is the most popular activity, it is necessary to continuously support open access publication. For the same reason, it will be effective to support sharing of research data, particularly associated with publications. Second, we need to further enhance access to research output drawn from especially from publicly funded research. More investment is needed for public repositories and services. Additional regulatory change or legal revision will be necessary to convert current research management and evaluation systems to more open science friendly ones. Most of all, continuous effort needs to be made to raise public awareness and support. It's important to achieve common understanding of open science, not only at the international level, but also at the national level. We need more policy discussion and dialogue for comprehensive national policy on open science. In the long run, we need to improve our research and innovation system per se by increasing organizational and institutional supports for open science rather than imposing additional burden on individuals. Enhanced digital research infrastructure and advanced technical standards would help individuals adopt new open science tools and practices. We need to change our science reward systems and provide more reasonable and tangible incentives to those who do open science. More people need to be educated and trained in order to possess digital as well as social skills needed. It will be also important to establish trustworthy governance in which scientific as well as societal values are reconciled. It sounds like a lot needs to be done, but we have already started, and I believe opportunities are all around us. That's all from my side today. Thank you so much for your attention. If you're interested in much more details of today's presentation, you can check the references and my other reports. I look forward to your comments and feedbacks. See you in the panel discussion. Thank you so much.